Stop ruining your expensive materials with crooked, handheld drilling mistakes. Today, we're finding the 7 benchtop precision that will change your workshop forever. 7. Dremel 22001. Now, to be completely transparent with you, this isn't a standalone drill press in the traditional sense. It is an articulating drill stand designed to hold a Dremel rotary tool. When I first set this up, the idea seemed brilliant for hobbyists who already own a Dremel. It acts as a drill press, a tool holder, and a flex shaft holder all in one. The footprint is tiny, which is great for a cramped desk, and the assembly was straightforward, since it is mostly just sliding plastic components onto a metal tube. However, once I actually started trying to drill precise holes, the limitations became immediately apparent. The biggest issue I encountered during testing was stability. The entire structure is incredibly lightweight, and because a lot of the connection points are plastic, there is a significant amount of flex. When I pulled the lever to plunge the bit into a piece of soft pine, I could visually see the head of the unit shifting slightly off-axis. This might not matter if you are just poking holes in cardboard, but for anything requiring precision, it is frustrating. The drill press action itself feels gritty rather than smooth. There is no heavy cast iron quill to guide the motion, just a spring-loaded plastic carriage sliding on a metal rail. I found that if I applied too much pressure, the bit would wander before it even started cutting. I also noticed that the angle adjustment, while versatile in theory, relies on plastic thumb screws that vibrate loose very easily. 6. LAKIX 204750. When you unbox this, the first thing you notice is how incredibly small it is. It looks almost like a scale model of a real drill press. It features a belt-driven motor and a small chuck that claims high precision for handicraft work. The aesthetic is actually quite nice, with some machined aluminum parts that give it a premium look from a distance, and it runs fairly quietly compared to larger induction motors. However, the mini aspect is also its downfall. In my testing, the motor proved to be significantly underpowered for anything beyond very thin wood or printed circuit boards. I tried to drill a 1/4-inch hole through a piece of plywood, and the motor bogged down almost immediately. You have to feed the bit incredibly slowly, pecking at the material, or you risk stalling the machine completely. It's frustrating when you are used to tools that do the work for you. Here you feel like you are immersing the machine through every single cut. Another glaring issue I found was the alignment of the column. Out of the box, the head wasn't perfectly square to the base, and because of the proprietary construction, shimming it or adjusting it is a nightmare. This resulted in holes that were slightly slanted. For a tool that pitches itself on precision for jewelry and crafts, this is a major letdown. The included vise is also more of a novelty than a functional tool. It is lightweight and struggles to grip round objects securely. 5. NovelLife Mini Drill Press. This is where we start to see a shift from toy-like to tool-like, specifically for the electronics and precision crowd. This unit is constructed almost entirely of metal, which immediately gives it a leg up over the previous 2 entries. When I placed it on the bench, it sat flat without rocking, thanks to a decently machined base. It uses a 795 DC motor, which is common in DIY CNC machines, and it spins up to a blistering 7,000 RPM. Using this machine was a pleasant surprise for small-scale work. I tested it primarily on aluminum extrusion and acrylic sheets. The high RPMs are actually perfect for these materials, creating clean cuts with very little burr. The vibration was noticeably lower than the Dremel setup, and the feed mechanism, while still rack and pinion, felt smoother. It uses linear bearings for the head movement, which reduces the side-to-side play that plagued the cheaper models. You can actually feel the bit engaging with the material rather than fighting the flex of the machine. However, it is not perfect. The power supply is an external brick, similar to a laptop charger with a variable voltage knob to control speed. While this works, it doesn't give you the torque retention at low speeds that a geared or pulley-based system would. When I dialed the speed down to drill into some steel, the torque dropped off significantly, and the bit stalled. It is clearly designed for high-speed, low-torque applications. You have to be mindful of your material choices here. 4. BACHIN MINIQ Bench Drill Stand 710W. This machine bridges the gap between the miniature crafting drills and a full-sized workshop press. The most standout feature here is the motor. At 710 watts, this thing actually has some grunt. Unlike the DC motors in the smaller units, this runs off mains power and feels much more like a traditional power tool. I was able to drill half-inch holes in hardwood without the motor complaining, which was a refreshing change of pace. The construction is a mix of a cast iron base and an aluminum column. The base provides a good counterweight, so the drill doesn't tip over when you pull on the lever. During my testing, the depth stop was easy to set and held its position well, allowing me to drill repetitive blind holes for dowels with consistent accuracy. The handle has a nice ergonomic grip, and the return spring is strong enough to snap the head back up quickly, but not so strong that it fights you on the downstroke. One thing I really appreciated was the chuck capacity. It takes standard bits up to 13 millimeters, which opens up a huge range of accessories you can use, from drum sanders to larger twist drills. The speed control is a dial on the side of the motor housing, offering 6 different ranges. It is convenient to change speeds on the fly without moving belts, although, like many electronic speed controls, it can be a bit noisy at lower RPMs. Woodskil DP8. Now we are entering the territory of true benchtop drill presses. This is an 8-inch swing machine that looks and feels like the classic drill press you probably used in high school shop class. The first thing that struck me during assembly was the weight. The cast iron head, table, and base make this unit significantly heavier than anything we have discussed so far, and that mass is crucial for absorbing vibration. I put this machine through its paces with a variety of woodworking tasks, including using a 1-inch spade bit through 2x4s. The 2.3 amp induction motor is quiet and smooth. Unlike the universal motors in the previous units, this induction motor hums rather than screams. The 5-speed pulley system is mechanical, meaning you have to open the top cover and move a belt to change speeds. While this takes a minute, the advantage is torque. Even at low speeds, the belt drive gives you the power to plow through tough material without stalling. The DP8 also features a laser guide system. I am usually skeptical of these, but out of the box, the XY crosshairs were surprisingly accurate to where the bit landed. It helps significantly with quick setups. The table tilts 45 degrees left and right, which is a feature I use to drill angled holes for a stool project. The locking mechanism for the table tilt is sturdy and didn't slip under load. However, it is an entry-level machine, and it shows in a few areas. 2. SKIL DP950500. This is a 10-inch drill press, and it represents a significant jump in capability and refinement over the Woodskil. The first thing you notice is the 6.2 amp motor. This is a serious upgrade in power. I threw everything at this machine: 3-inch hole saws, large Forstner bits, and even half-inch bits through plate steel, and it didn't even stutter. If you plan on working with metal or hardwoods regularly, that extra horsepower is worth every penny. The fit and finish on the SKIL are excellent. The depth stop system is much more precise than the friction rod style found on cheaper models. It uses a threaded rod with a quick release nut that lets you dial in your depth to the millimeter. The table is larger, providing better support for bigger workpieces, and it adjusts up and down with a smooth, rack and pinion crank that doesn't bind. I also love the bump-off switch, a large paddle safety switch on the front that you can hit with your knee or hip to shut the machine down instantly if things go sideways. The laser alignment system here is the X2 2-beam laser, and it was dead on during my tests. Combined with the bright LED work light, visibility at the drill point is fantastic. I noticed virtually zero wobble in the quill, even when fully extended to its maximum travel. The belt change system is also easier to access than on the Woodskil, with a tension lever that actually provides enough slack to move the belt without fighting it. 1. VEVOR DP12VL. This machine takes the top spot because it solves the biggest headache of using a drill press: speed changes. This is a 12-inch variable speed drill press. Instead of opening the hood and wrestling with belts every time you want to switch from a large bit to a small one, you simply move a lever on the side while the machine is running. I cannot overstate how much time this saves. I went from drilling a pilot hole at high speed to using a large countersink at low speed in seconds. The digital readout on the face of the machine displays your exact RPM. In my testing, this took all the guesswork out of drilling. I could look up the proper speed for mild steel, dial it in exactly on the screen, and get perfect shavings without burning up my drill bit. The 5-amp induction motor is robust and handled low-speed, high-torque applications beautifully. The swing is a massive 12 inches, meaning you can drill to the center of a 12-inch wide board, which is significantly more capacity than the 8 or 10-inch models. The build quality is heavy-duty industrial. The base is wide and heavy, the column is thick steel, and the table is a heavily machined cast iron slat that is perfectly flat. The runout on the chuck was non-existent. My dial indicator barely moved. It also comes with a laser guide and a work light. But the variable speed transmission is the real star here. Outro. So there you have it, from simple rotary stands to variable speed powerhouses.